From humble beginning.
The growth and evolving.
And the arrival. This is First GenXers.
Hello out there in Twitch land. We are back. We are back. I am black. That all rhymed because I felt like it. uh, I am Double K Double, uh, otherwise known as Dark Lord 100. Next to me over here is the wonderful Miss OMalley. And yeah, we're here to talk some friggin' sports with you guys. Like, I talked everything from movies to videos to video games to all of that earlier. And right now, we're going to buckle down with the sports. Now, as everybody knows, there's this little, I don't know, like, worldwide competition. They do it, every 4 years or so. It's called the Olympics. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it seems to be going on right now. And one of the major sets and teams that's playing is Team USA, being led by LeBron James and Steph Curry. They won 5 games. I only have 4 of them on here. But the game I want to focus on to start with, as we take a little trip backwards before we go forwards into today's game versus Serbia, the game against South Sudan. Um, there's a lot of what I call willful excuses flying around about that game, about how the rest of the world has caught up, and there's so many more NBA players that play in the internationally now than did back in the Dream Team's days, and this team had it hard. Bro, you lost to a team that doesn't even have a gym. These don't have a hard floor gym. They play outside. If you've ever seen the old Kevin Bacon movie, The Air Up There, like South Sudan, okay? Like by one, by one. It took a 39-year-old LeBron James to beat them by one. To have an epic fourth quarter or whatever by FIBA standards, whatever, for us to beat them by one. That's not good. I don't care how you cut it. I don't care what you say. That's not good. I'm not saying they're not going to win the gold. I'm not saying they're not going to do well. I'm just saying you don't beat South Sudan by one. If there's any team you beat by like 70, the same way that the old, it's South Sudan. Okay, it's that team. But anyway, so your thoughts on Team USA and how they've kind of looked during this prelim part of the
I
Olympics.
mean, there's not much else to say that you haven't said. Um, it I was amused by the playing of Not Like Us after the game against Canada. That was pretty sweet. But I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of people talking about like you got to stop calling this the second dream team or whatever the hell that they're trying to call this, because they would have beat South Sudan by like 70 points.
Mm.
So like stop with it.
And
Stop with this LeBron trying to rewrite history with his face in
yeah.
the spotlight. No, you're not the dream team. I'm not saying you're not a good team, but
Right.
stop comparing yourselves. No.
Here's the other excuse that drove me nuts that I heard a lot was, bro, they've only been playing together for like 2 weeks, man. 10 days, 14 days. That's all they've been together, bro. You are genuinely telling me that how many players? I believe it's 13 on the FIBA team. 13 of the NBA's highest IQ players cannot figure out how to play as a team over a 2 week period of time.
No, LeBron can't figure out how to play as a team over a 2 week period.
We we don't want to upset the Brownites, right? No, but for real though,
I
like,
mean,
and then to boot, like, her statement holds weight in the fact that he's supposed to be the highest of the high IQ players that's out there, and they can't put it together to be able to play as a team and beat South Sudan by more than 1 point.
yeah.
Like a team like don't get me wrong, like, I understand. Now here's the point that this is going to lead me to. Today they played Serbia with 3-time MVP, NBA champion Jokic, and a bag of chips on the floor, and they beat them by like 30. Okay, so what was the main difference between that team that played South Sudan and this team now? Well, KD was actually on the floor for this game.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you love LeBron. I don't care how much you want to yell at me that LeBron. KD was the difference. Just like when you look at the Kyrie, LeBron 2016, Kyrie was the difference maker in that.
Yeah.
LeBron did exactly what he always do. Kyrie was the difference maker. In this regards, LeBron did what he always does. He put up an epic game. He got his stats, but KD was the difference there.
Mm-hmm.
So Team USA will win gold. Hopefully they'll look good doing it. And if I'm wrong about that, you can come back and I'll shave my head.
And as my dude would say, the only thing he really wants to hear about Team USA and LeBron James is that LeBron James broke his ankle coming down off of a dunk, because he wants to go back to liking his basketball team.
Oh, here's the thing. Funny thing about it, I root for Team USA because, well, we live in the USA.
Yeah, well,
But yeah, the obvious
I don't know.
reason.
Now I might be rooting for South Sudan.
Hey, they had some sharp like outfits, man. Like, I saw them pictures all. I was like, get it, boys. But no, it's also, I'm looking at the fact that Steph could potentially in his first Olympics, win a gold medal and add that to his resume, which is
That would
already
be
a Hall
awesome.
of Fame resume. And that's about the main reason that I'm rooting for the USA. And people can call me picky or whatever, petty. I don't care. If Steph wasn't playing on this year's squad, I don't know if I'd be paying attention. Let's
Probably
just
not.
be real. Let's just be real.
Well, I mean, how interesting would it be to watch without Steph in general?
Like
So,
Steph is Steph. Like,
yeah.
and also people, I do understand, and I'll give this leeway to them. Over the years, it's not necessarily that international competition has gotten better, because I don't like that theory either. I don't like that, and it's not because I don't think that international competition can get better. It's because if you go by that theory, you're basically saying then USA basketball stayed stagnant while the rest of the world
Right.
got better. And I don't believe that they stayed stagnant. What I like to believe is this, is the difference between the basketball that's played in the NBA and the basketball that's played by FIBA the gap has grown and grown and grown. So now when our best players go to play FIBA basketball, they're literally having to play a completely different brand. Yeah, it's still basketball. It's still dribbling the ball up the court, shooting all at its fundamentals. It's all basketball. But the rule, go look up the rules of FIBA, and you'll see that they very much differ. Like a primary difference is in the NBA, you can't just stand in the lane. And you have to move in and out of the key, or else you get called defensive 3 seconds. They don't have defensive 3 seconds in FIBA ball. So like the game is played differently, and I think that's what's happened. It's not that the rest of the world catches up. It's that the rest of the world spends the rest of the year playing FIBA basketball, and the NBA guys only come play this once every 4 years. So you
Right.
got people that are skilled in this type of basketball versus people who are not that skilled. So
Now, you don't have the same thing over on the women's side because a lot of the women on the national team and are playing that type of basketball when they're not playing basketball here.
yep.
So there's that.
And so, like, I expect the women this year. Come on, girls, bring back that gold. Uh, well, I say they've been looking pretty decent outside of the loss to the WNBA All Stars. That was like, it happens sometimes. Doesn't mean the rest of the world's gonna beat them. But well, I say, but
They were the WNBA All Stars. I'm sure half of the women on the basketball team would have been on the other team had they not been on that team. So,
pretty much.
but it really, if there was a team that they would lose to, that's the team I feel comfortable with them losing to because they didn't just lose to a bunch of scrubs.
Right.
They lost to probably alternates of the team and people who, because of time frames, weren't able to be on the team. Like, so
100%.
yeah, that I feel okay about.
Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely do. And let me say this. I was just talking with a friend of mine today, and this is just on base Olympics talk. Simone Biles is something like out of this world. I don't know where she came from, and I don't know where she going. But as long as she keep winning golds for America, I'm a happy man. Like that woman can go in every aspect of gymnastics that I've seen her in, from the bar to the floor exercise to everything that I've seen her in.
I, as you know, a clinical social worker in my normal life, also really appreciate the courage that it took for her during the last Summer Olympics to step back for her mental health.
Yeah.
I think that took a lot of courage. A lot of people talk shit, but if anything, she, I think, showed that, like, you have to, at the end of the day, do what's best to take care of you.
Yeah.
So, and now look at where we see her at right now. You know, she's
Top of her.
phenomenal. So I think she's definitely something and someone to watch. She's amazing all the way around, from her talent to just the type of human she is.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, 100%. And okay, so this is going to be, well, say my one guilty admission when it comes to the Olympics. I had forgotten until recently when I saw an article that breakdancing had officially become a part of the Summer
Yes.
Olympics.
Yes.
And so, like, I'm definitely going to most likely be signing into my Peacock account tonight to check out, like, the breakdancing, like, first round.
Yes.
Like, what is
Yeah.
this competition? What
This
yes.
is- It's funny because I was talking to my dude yesterday. He was on the phone and the TV was on where he was at. And he's like, you know, it's funny because he was breakdancing when he was little, and we're talking back like 70s kind of thing, right? And the older generation kept laughing at him, poking at him. Oh, that stuff's not going to be around for long. People aren't going to be, you know, get up off the floor. And why are you doing all of that? And he's like, look at us now, like 40 years later, something like that, and 50, whatever he said, and it's in the Olympics. That's crazy.
Yep.
But like really cool because yeah, that there is athleticism in that. If they consider women flying ribbons all the way around, you know, then yes, I'm sorry, but breakdancing is absolutely
And I am
And
100% sure.
yes, rhythmic gymnastics, nothing against you. I do believe that you are athletes just like synchronized swimmers are athletes.
Yep.
Okay. So
No.
I'm just saying it's the same artistic type of category.
Yes. And I want I am and I can almost guarantee you the person that pitched this to the Olympic Committee used
Said
that
the same.
exact argument you have women running
Wait,
around with
wait,
flags doing
wait,
this and flipping in circles. Look. Look, hold on. Let me draw a flag into the breakdancer's hand for you so that maybe
wait.
that'll help you. But anyway,
Right, and you've got the male gymnasts out there on the pommel horse. This is like pommel horse on the ground, folks.
pretty much. Like and so I like I said, I can't wait. I cannot believe that I have not tracked breakdancing every Olympics that has been a part of, because I want to say this is at least the second or third Olympics that has
I
been a
thought
part
this
of
was
it
the
that long.
first.
Is it? I'd have
I
to
thought
look
it
that
was
up.
the first. I will be mind blown if it's not, but I thought that this was the first.
Uh, yep, somebody already Google searched it. 100%. Again, ding, ding, ding. O'Malley is right. Paris 2024 Olympics. Okay, so I ain't missed nothing, and I ain't gonna miss nothing. 2024, 2028, 2032. Breakdancing. Team USA, let's go. Because if we lose at this, bro, you lose at the first, man. Come on now. You better not be out there losing. This is the home of breakdancing. This is
Yeah,
the
but
birthplace.
I'm thinking that like Japan,
Yeah,
Korea
yeah.
might be given. That's where I'm thinking the competition might come from.
Yeah, 100%. I could see that. Having been a huge
They
fan.
have a huge appreciation of our dance culture
Mm,
and have kind of like made it their own in a lot of ways,
in a
which is
lot of
really
ways.
cool. Yeah.
Like I was gonna say, I as a huge fan of America's Best Dance Crew, like 100%. There is competition out there in the other
Yep.
countries. Like we are not the gap isn't as big as it is with like American sports. Like, well, I will say this: the world closed the gap on baseball pretty damn quick. Like they genuinely
Is
went out there
baseball
and got
still
it.
being played?
I don't know. I thought it was.
I didn't think it was.
She may be
Either
right again,
baseball
y'all.
or softball isn't being played.
It's not a full time event. See, ding, ding, ding. 2 points for other. Uh, oh, it's okay. So basically, if if baseball returns to, or if when the Olympics return to the U.S., it says baseball is not a full time event in the Olympics, appearing in the games when the host country possesses deeper ties to the sport. That was the case in 2020. When the Olympics was held in Japan, but that's
Yeah.
not the case for France. They believe that potentially the 2028 games are going to take place in LA, so baseball may come back for that Olympics.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so, but I would just say, just in general, like the world. If you look at the World Baseball
Yeah.
Classic, you know,
Oh yeah.
and I actually admitted to somebody earlier today that when it comes to the Olympics, when it comes to soccer in the Olympics, it's not that I'm not interested. It's just that my brain understands that really the World Cup is the world competition, that
Yeah.
that top tier world competition, not really as much the Olympics. So it's like
Yeah.
I want us to do well. Yeah, go bronze, gold, silver, whatever you get.
Yeah.
But go win a World Cup in my lifetime. That's really what I want to see. I've seen the women win a
Right.
World Cup in my lifetime.
Well, see, but here's the thing though, is like I prefer watching women's soccer to men's soccer, just like I prefer watching men's basketball to women's basketball.
Fair enough.
Not that I don't like watching either one of those. That's just there's
It's just a
something more
preference.
interesting about like the way the women go out there and play, especially when it's like Olympic or World Cup
Yeah.
soccer. Like there just is something different about the atmosphere, about the games, about all of that. And also, I mean, our women are usually up there with,
They're normally
with
high
soccer.
ranked. Yeah.
So yeah, that's where our strengths are.
Well, well, I've always said like it's funny to me because like okay, yo, what's good, Saint in the and Tech RP? Uh, say in the chat room. Thanks y'all for tapping in. I'll say, but yeah. So like my first foray into soccer was initially the women's national team. Then I began to learn about teams like Real Madrid and all of that. And then I came around to once I started working at Buffalo Wild Wings in 2010, I really started getting into the men's game because our restaurant, I would be there at work. Our restaurant would be packed for the men's game, and you can't get help but get swept up in the moment, so to speak. But my initial entrance into liking and wanting to watch soccer was the women's team. And so yeah, 100% I find women's soccer more interesting than men's. The men's more so hold my interest because I there's certain things I want to see them achieve within my lifetime. Like I said, I don't believe I was interested in soccer the last time that the won the World Cup. And so I don't believe have they won a World Cup? I don't think they have.
I
No.
don't think so.
Yeah. So like I would love to see them. It's kind of like wanting to see the Sharks win a Stanley Cup. Like there's just certain things I want to check off my sports, bucket list. And watching the men's team win a World Cup is one of them just because it hasn't happened. But the women's team is the team that I definitely prefer watching compared to the men's. But all right. So that there is our Olympic talk. We're going to move forward for a little bit into I'll let y'all see it, and then you can believe it. Bronny James, the Warriors, and the Summer League. That's right. Let's see. Miami Heat defeated the Memphis Grizzlies to win the Summer League title. They also defeated the Warriors right before to get there. The Warriors finished the Summer League an impressive 7-1, and the Lakers with Bronny playing 3 games finished 3-2. But where I want to start this conversation is with the Golden State Warriors. Like that team, I think they have a good bench on them right now. Like that summer league team was pretty good. That rookie that they drafted in the second round, he I think he only played like the last game of the season, but I think he hit like 2 or 4 on his threes, and I think he had like 10 or 11 points and like 8 rebounds. Like he had a pretty good game out there. And then I forget who the other guy, or he was the draft pick, and then a couple of guys that the Warriors have signed came in and gave him some good minutes. So I'm thinking like the Warriors youth, Brad Pavitsky, Jackson Davis both played in the summer league as well. It's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. So your thoughts on the summer league as a whole, Bronny James and or the Warriors?
I mean, I hope. Well, I do hope that that's exactly what they have to look forward to in Los Angeles with Bronny James, because that was a wonderful waste of your second round pick there, folks. Like I know it's just the summer league, but that actually means he should have done a lot better than what he did. So.
Scottie Pippen Jr. scored 20.
Has not changed as far as I'm concerned about how I felt from the beginning. I still think that choosing him was a waste, and this is ridiculous just to assuage someone who's not even a real Laker at the end of the day. I'm sorry. He'll never be an actual Laker. It doesn't matter because you guys are never going to win a championship with him anyways. So I'm sorry, other than the bubble championship, and that doesn't count. It doesn't count. Okay? I'm sorry, but technically the Celtics have 2 above you, really, because that doesn't count.
Oh, fair enough.
But it does make me feel better that we've got some youth coming up, because the Warriors were getting getting a little old, folks. We are. I hate to say it, right? But we are.
Yeah, they
So
are.
it's
We need a
good to
youth infusion.
see. We need the youth.
Yeah.
We because Curry and Green, they're 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 still amazing. They're doing well, and they're great with leadership. But this is where they should be bringing in, right, the players that are gonna make the transition,
Yeah.
that are gonna, you know, let's develop these, and then by the time we've developed these, our big guys, our top guys, our leadership will be ready to kind of take a more laid back role,
Yeah.
right? Which I don't see once they've reached a certain point. I definitely don't see Steph being one that will have a issue like taking a more limited
Yeah.
role increasingly as others become increasingly, ready for that spot. Definitely different than what's going on down in Los Angeles.
100%.
That's where the big differences are. And the reason why I can say this is because he's shown that with his play in general. Like, he doesn't need to always be the one that's taking the shot. He doesn't
Madison.
to always be the superstar. He's just as happy to pass it to somebody else to make the play than he is making the play himself.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt he'll have. I think he's one of those that he's got his rings, he's made his money. At some point, it just becomes about I'm just happy to play and
Yeah.
still be here.
100%. And that's the thing about it is that Steph does want to be competitive. Everybody took an article where he talked about, like, not wanting to be on a bottom feeding Warriors team. Is, oh my God, he's going to leave because they already are bottom feeding. I'm like, no, really, they're not. They actually, Mike Dunleavy did a decent job of replacing like Clay's production, with a couple of different players and his defensive production, and brought in a backup point guard for Steph. They still have Podminski to either back up or start at the two. Like, they still have Wiggins. They can swap out, and they can consistently swap in and out Wiggins and Buddy Hield, as well as if they decide to start Podminski, him and Buddy Hield. So, like, I thought they made some moves that definitely made them a more solid team. I genuinely think this Warriors team is better than last year's Warriors team going into the season with Clay. No offense to Clay, but I just do. But this team's youth showed us by sweeping the California Classic, and then like I said, continuing that run basically almost to a summer league
Well,
title.
we saw we saw in that last game, right? The play-in game.
Yeah.
Our youth was what kept us in that game.
100%.
It
To me,
wasn't our older superstars, it wasn't our veterans, it was our youth that had our veterans played up to their speed, we would have won that game.
amen.
But the youth is what kept us in it in at all.
In every aspect of the game. Yep. 100%.
So
So, all right. So, yes, Warriors looking good. I want to say we're going to go and take a quick couple-minute commercial break for me to run some promos, or promo break, so we can run some promos, and then we will be back to talk a little bit about the drama going on in Santa Clara right now with a young wide receiver by the name of Brandon Ayuk. You're watching the, I was going to say the Cheap Pop Podcast. That was earlier. See what all this whitewater rafting did? Anyway, you're watching The Classroom. First GenXers presents The Classroom right here on Twitch TV, starring myself, Dark Lord 100, and the one and only OMalley. We'll see you after the break. Peace.
You got to keep it. Keep it. You got to keep it lovely. You got to keep it. Keep it. You got to keep it lovely. Success comes right after the struggle. I ain't even giving up on whatever I wanted. The tragedies I've seen, I can't even stomach. Most of y'all weak as shit and would've started running. Every time I make it back to the crib, I'm thankful the Most High let me see all of it. Grateful I'm lovely, and I'm being real with this. Please don't judge me. I'ma stay on my shit. I'ma keep it. This is now versus then. 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 This is now versus then.
You getting on my nerves. You getting on my nerves. Gang, gang, bitch. You getting on my nerves. Gang, gang, bitch. You getting on my nerves. Get your titty, get your titty, get your titty on. Gang, gang, bitch. Get your titty, get your titty, get your titty on. I said what I said. No, please don't tell on me. No, please don't tell the police. Gang, gang, you getting on my nerves. She getting on my nerves.
Riders on the storm. Riders on the storm. You got to change your evil ways, baby. Set me free.
What were we just talking about?
I was just about to ask you, did you unmute yourself?
Oh man. Like I said, just talking about it. But okay, so we're gonna dive in real quick. Tap on the Ayuk, Brandon Ayuk drama. Here, I'll bring up the graphics so y'all can see. Like Brandon Ayuk, 2024, 75 catches on the Super Bowl run, 1,300 yards, 7 TDs, averaged 83 a game. Team's leading receiver, very reliable, rarely ever injured. One of Brock Purdy's favorite targets. It was supposed to say targets, not topics. And at this point in time, the 49ers have already said they will not trade him. They're going to try their best to work out some point this season. They kind of went through this with Debo, but ended up keeping him. But let's see what they do with this. But what are your thoughts on this drama? He's at training camp. He's just supposedly injured, and I say that because it's funny how people get injured when they're in contract negotiations, nagging injuries, and hasn't practiced. But next Thursday starts the preseason of football, and so.
Would you injure yourself taking a drink out of the refrigerator? Like, I mean, what? Can't be football-related injury, so...
Mystery injuries happen all the time when people are in contract disputes.
Yeah.
So, but
my
no.
eyesight, it's his vision.
Yeah.
He can't see himself, you know, So I mean, this drama has been going on since
Last
the
season.
season ended.
Yep.
I swear, like, and it's been going back and forth as to, oh, they're gonna trade him, oh, they're not. Like, before the draft, a lot of people thought that,
They were gonna move him.
that was gonna happen. So my question is like, even if they do get a deal in place, like, has this damaged the relationship to the point of, like, is the relationship a more contentious one now?
I believe it
Are,
is.
are all sides going to be able to move forward once this is
I
worked out?
I believe Brandon Ayuk is from the newer generation. If he gets his bag, he can move forward. He can let all that
Okay.
shit go. Like I genuinely believe that. Like this generation, if I have to give them credit for anything, it's that when they're
Fuck you,
trying,
Peyton.
right? Yeah, fuck you, pay me. Like old, Godfather or not Godfather. What was that? Was that Goodfellas? Like yeah, no, like 100%. And once they get paid, they're happy. They're happy and they go out in the field and they perform as best they can. And so I believe that if the 49ers do give him his money, yeah, I think that John Lynch and whatchamacallit. But here's where it bugs me. I forget who the commentator was on ESPN, but I was watching First Take earlier this week, and he said it on First Take and he said it on Get Up. He said if the 49ers end up trading or letting Brandon Ayuk go, they will drop from being Super Bowl contenders to barely playoff contenders. And I'm like, I love BA. I love him. I've followed him since he got there. There are too many weapons on that team for that team to fall off that much just because he's not there. Like even I mentioned in my little review that he is
Which
Brock
is
Purdy's favorite
also
target.
why he has not yet gotten the contract that he wants,
Yeah,
because they know at the end of the day, with or without him, they're going to be okay. They made it to the Super Bowl with the third string quarterback,
yeah.
folks. Like, I mean,
It's
sorry, bye. Like,
if he
at
has to
this
go,
point,
I feel you.
yeah,
Go on.
it is. But here, I think the better question, and I think you would be better to answer this than me because this is your team. I'm like, whatever. Is, do you think he's worth the contract he's trying to get? Do you think he's worth this drama? Do you think he's worth this holdout?
No, but not in a he's not skilled type of way. It's a matter of I genuinely believe that as much impact as his 1,300 yards had, if they don't have him, I believe that it may be a tougher road, but they still make that Super Bowl. It's just a matter of like I love BA, and I don't think he deserves at this moment in time to be the highest paid receiver in football. Like there are guys that are just better than him. Sorry, like you're not Justin Jefferson, you're not Amon St. Ra or St. Brown. Like Amon Ra St. Brown. Like there are wide receivers, brother, that are out there that are better than you. I'm a 49ers fan, loyal and true, and loved watching you from the moment they drafted you. But you ain't you no. Do you
Does,
deserve
does,
a what's up?
does that change? Does that change if they had won the Super Bowl? Because then he's also a Super Bowl winning wide receiver.
Nah. I think if he wins Super Bowl, if they win the Super Bowl and he wins Super Bowl MVP, then maybe I'm like, okay, you deserve at least close to that range. You deserve to be in that upper five range. I believe right now his value sits in the 5 to 10 range. Like, and I think that's the money that San Francisco is offering him, and I think he up here he believes he's in the 1 to 5 range, and he believes he should be paid at that level. I believe that he's the next tier down. Like,
Yeah, he's unfortunate enough to be playing on a team with Debo Samuel, with Kittle, with Christian McCaffrey, with, like, sorry, dude, like, there are far too many offensive tools on this team for you. Like, you're a big fish in an ocean.
yeah, and like that.
Sorry.
Yeah, pretty much like that. And that Paschal kid that they drafted in the first round this year, the wide receiver, I believe he was out of Florida. That kid's basically like a little mini Debo and Ayuk himself. Like, so I'm not saying that they're
And
easily replaceable.
with you, I like Ayuk,
Yeah,
but this is one of those cases where, and I'm all for people knowing their worth. Yes, believe in yourself, because
amen.
if you don't, I mean, shit. But there are some times where I think that people's belief in what they are worth in that aspect is a little overinflated.
Dak Prescott. Anyway, yeah, 100%. Uh, but we'll go on ahead and leave that there as we're getting close to time to need to wrap up. Because coming up next is Mister the Saint with MBT Deuce. So be sure to tune in for that. But the last subject of the night is the one I've been wanting to do for a while. WNBA gets a new media rights deal right alongside the NBA, which, by the way, we didn't even touch on that. We'll talk about that next week, how the NBA is going to be moving over to Amazon, and this is the last season we're going to see TNT. But along with that media deal for the NBA came along a media deal for the WNBA worth approximately $2.2 billion. So that should help with their revenue issues just a little bit. But it's a $200 million a year deal over 11 years. It's the biggest deal the WNBA has ever gotten. The one thing that did catch my eyes, I saw a couple articles that talked about how the union exec for the WNBA thinks that they're being undervalued at $2.2 billion over 11 years. So I guess everybody has their opinion. I'm not saying they're being overvalued. I'm just saying, like, be happy that you got that deal, that you got that, that 2.2 billion, because the league was floundering. So the league really needs that money, that income of 200 plus million a year. So to keep it running and solving.
Should you make good use of this, that opens for much more down the road.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you gotta go out there and prove what you're
Yeah.
asking for.
Because let's be honest, like in an hour, sorry. But let's be honest, like, WNBA hasn't exactly been a ratings giant. Like, yes, and I get it. Like, I hate when you talk about ratings, people are like, people don't watch TV the same way they used to. If you're idiotic enough to think that basically the whole entire world has switched to streaming and they have not figured out a way to track streaming numbers, like we're not talking about, like, streaming didn't just start 2-3 years ago. Like, streaming's been going on almost a decade now.
Right.
Like,
When we talk about, like, everything, streaming is now included in what we talk about. It's not just TV ratings, it's streaming, it's views, it's all of that stuff. Like,
exactly. So I'm like, and the WNBA's
why do
views,
ignorant people speak the loudest?
because they have the most to say, unfortunately. But well, I'll say, but no, like, and so, like, I'm like, just look at it as, if it wasn't for the MW or the NBA basically absorbing the WNBA into it, I don't know if the WNBA gets this if they're still a separate entity by themselves. I don't know if they get a $200 million a year, even with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all the great star, Asia Wilson, I think her name is, that are all, great, amazing superstar women on their teams. But, like, I'm sorry, like, I think without, and I'm not going to say, without the men, I'm saying without the power of the NBA, the
Yeah.
entity that is the NBA. It ain't got nothing to do with the men on the court. It's the power of the entity in the NBA that gets them that media rights deal and may get them one big enough that they can become a separate entity again.
Yes.
And so,
And I mean, that's often the goal of a parent company in the first place, right? Is to develop that baby company to the point where they can go off and,
bye-bye.
yes, bye. Yeah. So,
And so good for them. Hopefully, like you said, if they do this money right, hopefully this can lead to a bigger deal that can lead to bigger salaries for these women on the court. Maybe enough. Maybe, I don't know. Just phrase it just enough so that they don't have to go overseas and play to make ends meet. Like, just
and that helps the longevity of their careers. Also, that increases the the deals that they get for, endorsements and stuff like that. And the more endorsements they get, the less they have to go overseas and the less we have to deal with all the stuff like that for them. I mean, we have players who probably shouldn't play in certain countries, and that is scary in itself. So, but for the wear and tear on their bodies too, like they deserve to be able to have the same kind of life as the NBA players, because right now they don't really have a life other than basketball.
Yep, basketball all the time. Now, going and playing for your Olympic team and all that, that's stuff that even the men do,
Yeah.
with their situation, but these women is having to go overseas financially and play for another team because you don't make enough playing for basically the top women's professional league in your country. You don't make enough to be able to make ends meet. Like, and I always feel funny saying that because as a person whose ends aren't that grand, and I make my ends meet. It's like, okay, you're probably making like at least what I'm making, if not a little bit more. But no, for what you do, for the stuff you have to pay for,
Oh, and
yeah,
like Caitlin Clark, they're talking about when the new ones got drafted, right? Like 70 something thousand a year is the highest
paid, yeah,
of the paid of their, like, the rookies and all of that. And it's like that's insane. And yes, I know that that's more than the median in a lot of states across the country. I get that.
yeah,
But the biggest thing I think is, first of all, like what you said, in for what they do and how they put their bodies on the line and stuff like that. But the what's bigger than that is, I think if the men's salaries weren't so disproportionate, we
yes,
wouldn't necessarily be over here going, it's only $70,000.
yeah,
Yes, only $70,000 when you're talking about 1 million being the minimum for, somebody who's sitting on a bench.
yeah.
Like,
I want to say veteran minimum is like 3.2 million or something.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
so yes, we're saying only $70,000 because that's crazy. That's insane.
you
Um,
can't tell me that with this media deal that you can't afford to pay some of your top players upwards of 3 to 4 million a year, and you can't afford to pay some of your bench players at least in six digits.
right.
Based on their role on the team. At minimum, make the base salary the minimum 100,000.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you should be able to
Yeah.
afford that,
Yes, absolutely.
and I think that would change a
It
lot of
should be like
lives.
100,000 a game, but
We'll get there. We'll get there. They're
yeah,
they're still growing. I would say to me the WNBA has had more growth, not in the sense of like expanding the league and having more teams, but it's had more growth in the sense of popularity over the past about
yeah,
3 to 5 years than it
yeah.
kind of did before that. So I
Well,
think we're
that's gone hand in hand with the increase in popularity of the women's college
yes,
basketball, right?
yeah,
Because of some of these amazing superstar women that we've had come up, which is great. So hopefully this just helps to expand on all of it so they don't have to continue to go overseas and they can actually have lives and families and, not risk their own freedom and things like that.
amen, amen. All right, so as always, I like to give Miss O'Malley the last word. So we'll have her close us out, and then we're going to call it a night. I want to thank everybody that tapped in, Saint, Agent K28, who's going to be up next with MVT Deuce in about an hour, as well as Tech RP, who came through for us in the chat room. And I want to thank all of you for watching. O'Malley, take us home.
Thank you, KD and Team USA. Fuck LeBron.
There you go. There you go. Y'all have a wonderful night. We'll see you next week, 6 p.m. sharp. Peace.
Bye.